His mother saw something in you she didn't expect, and now she's concerned. Listen closely, beloved soul, because this message did not reach you by accident. I am Archangel Michael, and I step forward now because something shifted the moment she looked at you differently. His mother. Her spirit noticed something before her mind could explain it. At first, it was subtle, a feeling she couldn't shake. A quiet tightening in her chest. An intuition whispering, "This person is not ordinary." And that is exactly what unsettled her. She expected you to be temporary, predictable, harmless to the orders she believed she controlled. But what she saw in you disrupted that assumption. Your presence carries a frequency she did not prepare for, a strength that does not announce itself loudly, yet rearranges everything around it. And when she sensed that, concern took root. You see, some people recognize power not by noise, but by silence. Not by chaos, but by composure. She watched how you didn't chase approval. How you didn't bend to impress. How your energy remained steady even when circumstances tried to shake you. And in that stillness, she felt something unfamiliar, influence without effort. That is what alarmed her. Because influence like that cannot be controlled easily. She began to notice the changes in him. Not dramatic at first. Just small shifts. The way he questioned things he never questioned before. The way he grew quieter, more reflective. The way he stopped reacting and started choosing. She connected the dots, not with logic, but with instinct. And her spirit whispered again, "This is because of you. You didn't try to change him." That's what frightened her most. Transformation without force is the most powerful kind. She sensed that you awakened something in him that she could never access. A version of him that does not depend, does not seek permission, does not stay small to keep others comfortable. And when a mother realizes her influence is no longer absolute, fear often disguises itself as concern. Let me be clear with you now, this is not about jealousy alone. This is about loss of control. She saw in you a mirror. One that reflects truth. And truth destabilizes systems built on expectation, routine, and unspoken authority. Your presence doesn't attack. It exposes. And exposure feels dangerous to those who rely on things staying the same. That is why her behavior shifted. Questions replaced warmth. Observation replaced ease. Protection turned into surveillance. She began watching you more closely, not because you did something wrong, but because your energy doesn't fit into her narrative. You cannot be categorized easily. You are not impressed by titles. You are not intimidated by opinions. And you are not easily influenced. This is the mark of a soul that has already survived deep battles. And she sensed that. Beloved, if you have felt a subtle resistance lately, a strange tension you couldn't explain, a feeling that you are being evaluated without words, this is confirmation. Your intuition was right. You are not imagining it. Energy speaks before mouths ever do. And hear me carefully now. Do not shrink yourself to ease her concern. You were never meant to. Your role is not to convince. Not to explain. Not to defend. Your alignment speaks louder than justification ever could. The more grounded you remain, the clearer everything becomes. And that clarity will continue to unsettle those who benefit from confusion. Stay steady. If this message resonates, let it settle into you. Allow it to anchor you. You are protected, guided, and seen, more than you know. Stay close to this frequency, and remain open to what is unfolding. There is much more being revealed, layer by layer. Because what she sensed in you was only the beginning. And what happens next will make her concern turn into something far deeper than fear. Stay with me now, because what unfolds next moves beneath the surface, where motives are rarely spoken aloud. After her initial concern settled in, she began revisiting moments she once dismissed. Conversations. Silences. The way he mentioned your name without realizing his tone had changed. The way his energy shifted after spending time with you, calmer, yet more resolved. Less reactive. More discerning. These are not coincidences. These are signs of inner authority awakening. And she recognized them because, once upon a time, she may have seen something similar in herself, before life taught her to suppress it. That recognition is uncomfortable. She noticed that he no longer absorbed her emotions the way he used to. Where guilt once worked, it now fell flat. Where fear once guided him, it now dissolved into awareness. She watched him pause before responding, as if consulting an inner compass she could not access. And slowly, she understood, you were not guiding him. You were reminding him. Reminders are dangerous to systems built on dependence. You didn't tell him what to think. You didn't push him to rebel. You simply existed in truth. And truth invites others to rise to it. That is why she couldn't find fault with you, yet still felt threatened. Because there was nothing to confront, nothing to accuse, nothing to correct. Only a quiet shift she could not reverse. She began asking subtle questions. Not directly about you, but about his plans, his values, his future. Each question carried an unspoken agenda. Are you still within my reach? And every answer that sounded more grounded, more independent, more aligned, deepened her unease. Beloved, understand this. Concern often masks grief. She is grieving a version of him she believed would always orbit her expectations. And when she sensed that your presence expanded his world beyond those boundaries, she felt the loss before she fully understood it. Loss of predictability. Loss of influence. Loss of certainty. And so, her concern intensified. She began to observe you not as a person, but as a catalyst. Measuring your words. Interpreting your silences. Projecting intentions that were never yours. This is what happens when someone feels their inner structure destabilizing. They search outward for a cause. But hear me now, you are not the cause. You are the contrast. Your calm highlights chaos. Your clarity reveals confusion. Your self-trust exposes reliance. And when someone has built identity around being needed, your independence feels like a threat, even when it's not aimed at them. That is why you may feel a subtle pressure to dim yourself, to soften your certainty, to explain your intentions more than necessary, to prove that you are safe. But listen to me closely, you do not need to earn safety by shrinking your truth. Your presence is not aggressive. It is authentic. And authenticity disrupts illusions effortlessly. She sensed something else too, something she may never admit aloud. That you are not easily manipulated by emotional currents. That guilt does not hook into you. That fear does not dictate your choices. And this realization triggered a deeper concern, not just about him, but about her own unexamined patterns. Because when one person steps out of unconscious cycles, everyone still inside feels exposed. So she became watchful. But watchfulness does not mean power. It means uncertainty. And uncertainty is what you must not absorb. Stay anchored. Stay observant without becoming defensive. You are not here to challenge her role or compete for influence. You are here to remain aligned with your own soul. That alignment alone is enough to shift timelines. Notice how you are being asked, energetically, to choose maturity over reaction, presence over explanation, trust over overthinking. This is a test of stability, not loyalty. A refinement of discernment, not a call to confrontation. And let me remind you of this truth now: you are protected. No misinterpretation can override divine alignment. No projection can distort what is anchored in truth. The more neutral you remain, the clearer the contrast becomes. And clarity always resolves tension, eventually. If you feel guided to stay connected to messages like this, do so gently. Not from fear, but from awareness. Support clarity where clarity is being restored. Let your stillness speak. Because something is building beneath this concern. She has not yet realized the full scope of what your presence represents, not just for him, but for herself. And when that realization arrives, it will force a decision she has been postponing for a very long time. And when that decision is made, everything changes in a way no one expects. Remain present with me, because now we move into the unseen layers where intentions collide with destiny. As her concern deepened, something subtle but decisive began to happen within her. She stopped merely observing and started anticipating. Not your actions, but the outcome of your presence. She sensed that whatever was unfolding could not be undone easily. And when someone realizes a shift is irreversible, they often attempt to intervene quietly before it fully manifests. You may have felt this as an energetic tightening. A pause before invitations. A change in tone. A feeling of being assessed rather than welcomed. These are not accidents. They are protective instincts activated by uncertainty. She does not yet understand what she is protecting, but she knows something sacred is moving beyond her influence. And that is unsettling. She began replaying past dynamics in her mind. Times when her words shaped his decisions. Moments when her approval guided his confidence. But now, those familiar levers no longer respond the same way. He listens, but does not submit. He respects, but does not surrender his direction. And in that shift, she senses a new authority rising, one that answers inwardly, not outwardly. And you, beloved, are associated with that awakening. Not because you instructed it, but because you embody it. Your energy does not cling. It does not chase. It does not demand validation. And this non-attachment is powerful. It allows others to see themselves without distortion. When he stands near you, he remembers who he is when no one is managing him. And that remembrance cannot be taken away. She noticed how he no longer rushes to explain himself. How he allows silence without anxiety. How he trusts his decisions even when they are questioned. These are signs of someone reclaiming sovereignty. And sovereignty dismantles invisible hierarchies that once felt permanent. That is why her concern now carries an edge. Not anger, yet. Not confrontation, yet. But preparation. She may attempt to redefine you in her mind. Assign motives that feel safer than truth. Label your influence so it becomes containable. This is how the mind tries to regain control over what the soul cannot dominate. But labeling does not limit what is divinely aligned. Let me speak clearly to you now. Do not internalize her projections. They are not reflections of your intent. They are echoes of her fear. You are not here to replace anyone. You are not here to disrupt families or dismantle bonds. You are here because your frequency aligns with growth. And growth does not ask permission, it arrives when the soul is ready. There may come moments when you sense a subtle invitation to prove yourself, to justify your presence, to soften your boundaries. This is the old world attempting to reassert itself. Do not fall into that trap. Your steadiness is not arrogance. Your clarity is not coldness. Your discernment is not distance. It is wisdom earned through experience. She senses that you cannot be swayed by emotional narratives, that you do not respond to guilt or obligation, that your choices are rooted in alignment rather than approval. And this realization forces her to confront something she has avoided. Her influence has limits. Limits are frightening to those who built identity around being indispensable. So her concern intensifies into vigilance. But vigilance, beloved, is not authority. It is reaction. And reaction always reveals insecurity. You, on the other hand, are being asked to remain proactive in peace, to stay grounded, to observe without absorbing, to continue showing up as yourself, nothing more, nothing less. Notice how your inner world remains calm even when the external atmosphere shifts. That calm is not accidental. It is protection. It is guidance. It is confirmation that you are exactly where you are meant to be. And here is what she does not yet see, but soon will. The more she watches, the more evident it becomes that your influence is not forceful, it is stabilizing. That you do not pull him away, you anchor him within himself. That you do not create division, you reveal truth. And truth, once seen, cannot be unseen. This realization will bring her to a crossroads. She will have to choose between control and trust, between fear and respect, between holding tighter or allowing growth. And that choice will not be made in a moment. It will unfold through subtle decisions, quiet realizations, and unavoidable clarity. And when she finally understands that resisting this shift only creates more distance, her concern will transform into something else entirely. But what it transforms into, and how it reshapes everything around you, is something you are not yet prepared for. And that revelation is closer than you think. Stay with me, because now the energy turns inward, and what unfolds is quieter, but far more powerful. At some point, her vigilance begins to exhaust her. Watching takes effort. Controlling outcomes requires constant tension. And when reality refuses to bend, the watcher is forced to face themselves. This is where her concern reaches its peak, not outwardly, but internally. Because the more she observes, the more she realizes that nothing she does seems to reverse the shift. Instead, it accelerates it. She notices that the harder she tries to hold things together the old way, the further away that version slips. Not dramatically, not rebelliously, but gently. Like sand moving through fingers no matter how tightly the hand closes. And this gentle loss is what unsettles her the most. Because there is no one to blame. You are not confrontational. You are not disrespectful. You are not creating scenes or drawing lines. You remain consistent, calm, self-possessed. And that consistency becomes undeniable proof that the change is internal, not imposed. This is where confusion sets in. She may begin questioning her own perceptions, asking herself whether she is overreacting, whether her concern is justified, whether the shift she feels is real or imagined. And yet, her intuition keeps confirming it. Something is different. Something has crossed a threshold. And thresholds cannot be uncrossed. She starts to sense that this is not about losing him to you, but about him no longer belonging to anyone's expectations, including hers. That realization is both liberating and terrifying, because it challenges a long-held belief that love requires control to survive. Beloved, this is where your role becomes most delicate. Not because you are in danger, but because your neutrality now matters more than ever. You are being observed not for what you do, but for who you are when nothing is demanded of you. Your reactions, or lack of them, carry weight. Your silence speaks volumes. Your boundaries teach without instruction. This is mastery. And mastery is unsettling to those still navigating from fear. She may test the atmosphere. Subtle emotional cues. Shifts in warmth. Moments of distance followed by sudden closeness. These are unconscious attempts to re-establish familiarity. To see if old dynamics still work. To confirm whether the ground beneath her is stable. Do not interpret these fluctuations as hostility. They are uncertainty learning how to breathe. Your task is simple, but not easy. Remain authentic. Remain respectful. Remain unattached to outcomes. The moment you try to manage her perception is the moment you step out of alignment. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be true. And truth has a rhythm that cannot be rushed. Understand this, she is standing at the edge of an inner reckoning. One she postponed for years. The realization that influence must eventually give way to trust. That love must evolve or become control. That holding on too tightly suffocates what it was meant to protect. And you are the mirror reflecting this truth back to her. Not with words, with presence. That is why your energy feels too strong to her at times. Not aggressive, just unmovable. Rooted. Sovereign. You are not swayed by emotional weather. And this steadiness highlights how much of her own identity has been shaped by managing others' responses. This is uncomfortable. But it is also an invitation. Soon, very soon, she will face a moment where she must decide how to relate to you going forward. Not based on fear. Not based on assumptions. But based on reality. That moment may come through a conversation, a realization, or a quiet internal surrender. You may never witness it directly, but you will feel the shift when it happens. Because the atmosphere will change. The tension will soften, or crystallize. And whichever direction it moves will set the tone for what comes next. One thing is certain, this phase is temporary. Concern is not the final form of this energy. Transformation is. And the way she responds to that transformation will ripple outward in ways that affect everyone involved, including you. And what is revealed in that ripple will clarify everything you've been sensing all along. Stay with me until the end, because this is where the truth settles, and the meaning of everything becomes unmistakable. What she does next is not dramatic. There is no explosion. No confrontation. No sudden confession. Instead, there is a quiet moment, almost invisible, where resistance meets reality. Where her concern can no longer justify itself. Where she realizes that nothing catastrophic has happened, yet nothing will ever be the same. She notices something undeniable. He is stronger. Not harder. Not colder. Stronger in the way that does not require defense. Stronger in the way that does not ask permission to exist. Stronger in the way that stands without leaning on anyone else's expectations. And when she sees this strength, she understands something that finally stills her fear. He is not being taken from her, he is becoming himself. And that realization changes everything. Because once this truth lands, concern loses its grip. Control loosens. The need to monitor fades. What remains is a choice, one she can no longer avoid. To evolve alongside this shift. Or to cling to an identity that no longer fits the moment. Beloved, this is the point of no return, but not in the way fear imagines. This is where timelines split. On one path, she softens. She releases the need to define you. She accepts that your presence did not diminish her role, it revealed where growth was overdue. On this path, respect replaces suspicion. Space replaces tension. And something surprisingly beautiful begins to form, a new dynamic built on mutual recognition rather than silent competition. On the other path, she resists. She tightens. She chooses familiarity over truth. And while this path may feel safer in the short term, it creates distance, not because of you, but because resistance always pushes against what is meant to expand. Whichever path unfolds, hear me clearly now, you are not responsible for her choice. You never were. Your role was never to manage her emotions, anticipate her reactions, or dilute your essence to keep the peace. Your role was to remain aligned, present, awake. And you have done that. Often without realizing how powerful that alone is. That is why this situation found you. Because you are capable of standing in truth without becoming hardened by it. You may soon notice a shift in how you are treated. Subtle, but real. Less tension. More neutrality. Or, in some cases, a respectful distance that feels oddly relieving. This is not loss. This is clarity. And clarity always brings peace, even when it arrives quietly. If you felt tired lately, not physically, but spiritually, it's because you've been holding steady through a recalibration that involved more than just you. You were anchoring a frequency while others adjusted to it. That requires strength few recognize. Rest now. Not by retreating, but by trusting. Trust that what unfolded did so with purpose. Trust that no misunderstanding can override divine alignment. Trust that you did not imagine the shift, you sensed it because you are perceptive beyond words. And remember this, the concern she felt was never about danger. It was about recognition. She recognized in you a presence that cannot be easily influenced. A soul that does not fold under pressure. A truth that does not require permission. And when people encounter that kind of energy, it forces them to reckon with themselves. That reckoning is sacred. So do not look back wondering if you should have been smaller, quieter, easier. You were never meant to be any of those things. You were meant to be real. If this message anchored something within you, let it remain there. Stay connected to this frequency. Allow it to guide you gently forward. And if you feel called, remain close, because clarity builds upon clarity, and protection surrounds those who walk in truth. What she sensed in you was not a threat. It was a turning point. And what unfolds from that turning point will reveal, very soon, just how divinely timed this entire encounter truly was.